Jay, what if I told you that the Smithsonian is actually the men in black for Freemasons and they travel the whole entire world rounding up all artifacts that prove that our history is deeper than we think and they suppress it to keep us stupid so we're easy to control? I said that in one breath, bro.
Oh, that was impressive.
Impressive.
Damn,
Impressive.
impressed by it. It's just the content. I mean, it was an impressive feat. The content. Some of it's questionable, but
Someone's question?
no, it's undeniable that like shenanigans have happened, right? With our government covering stuff up. It's obvious at this point. So there's a lot of it's come out. So I mean, you know me, I will entertain any story, at least to vet it from top to bottom.
And I do know you, so that's why I brought the
You'd be
receipts.
nuts.
I brought the receipts, son.
Brought
Before
them
we
out.
get into this, welcome to Enigma Cast. I'm Joseph. That's Uncle Jay, our urban legends guru. We're about to get into some deep stuff here tonight, but along the way, if you like it, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. I don't care what you do with the bell. Hit our link tree. Follow us on all across social media. Although, I'm about to say this before I go. F TikTok. I've been shadow banned on and off for every other week for 6 weeks. And if you don't believe
Really?
it, go to my TikTok account and go to my Instagram
Right.
account and I watch it run. And I'll tell you how.
TikTok is strictly a consumer product
Well, here you go. I
right now.
got a misinformation warning. The only one I've ever gotten. I've posted videos of.
Well, I mean, Joe.
Hold on, hear me out on this. I've posted videos of UFOs, dogmans, and giants. And you know what I got a misinformation hit for?
What?
I made the mistake of copying and pasting an official Vatican press release and saying, look, the Vatican is going to talk about what to do when you talk to extraterrestrials. From the Vatican. It says from the Vatican. And they flagged me saying it was fake news. You know what I say to that? Badookery. I'm staying on Instagram, son. I'm out.
You need to spell that for me.
Badookery. F-O-O-D-U-K, not C, K-E-R-Y, bang, bang, bang. Badookery. Right?
Yeah, I got it good now. I'm good.
You got it? All right. I just bring the receipts.
Well, I got it now. A little future.
Anyways, I'm about to prove my point because not only did I just prove how the Smithsonian is evil and they suppress everything, Indiana Jones might have been trying to tell us something.
Maybe.
But would it also shock you if I told you that there was proof that ancient Egyptians inhabited the Grand Canyon for maybe hundreds of thousands of years, and proof was discovered around 1920, and it was been suppressed this entire time?
You wouldn't be the first person I've heard that from.
Well, I always thought, we just used the word, that it was a bunch of fadookery. I've heard the theory that the ancient Egyptians were there, and that some people have even tried to convince me, although they did not want to come on the podcast and present their story, which is a shame because it would have been a great story, how it was presented to me. There is a theory that the Holy Land and Egypt and Israel is actually in the United States of America, which made me laugh. And I'm like, you got to do better than that, bro. I mean, like, I deal in the weird. And he says no.
Right.
They'd say that it's all been flipped. That the Mississippi.
Okay, wait. What's been flipped?
That you think that Egypt is where it's at, in that. But I do have the ultimate comeback though. That Egypt is where it's at, and Israel is where it's at. It's not supposed to be. They say that the Mississippi is actually the Nile. Egypt is actually the Grand Canyon, and that the surrounding areas there would be the other areas. You know, Palestinian or whatever there was. I have to look at the
Palestine.
Palestine.
Yeah. Jericho and all of those sorts of
so I said,
places.
And so look, there's a part of me got a hook in me because there are enough dead giant bones in Central America to back that up, right?
I don't know, man. That one's a little.
So I
never heard that one before.
So I thought I had this guy, right? I thought I had him, right? I hit him with a zinger, right? I said, well, what about that pyramid? He goes, no, that was the Anunnaki's pyramid. The Egyptians never made that. And I'm like, yo, he's got me, man. Because I believe it too. I know the Egyptians didn't make that, right?
Okay. Yeah, you and him having something in common.
But he was also pointing out too.
I don't know. That's
pretty clever.
Surprise, sure.
If you go up the Mississippi River, you are going to run into 22 or 30 Egyptian cities. I mean, literally Memphis is on west.
We named them that, you knucklehead. We named them that.
It's not my theory, but anyways.
Okay, I know, but that's what I would say to that individual also.
That'd be nice.
We named them those things, right? You know that. Like the Native Americans didn't call them Memphis. And
he was very excited to talk to me, and I didn't want to just shoot him down.
No, so and I'm not trying to be dismissive. I'm just trying to.
And he was standing outside my front door in a bathrobe with a shotgun. So what am I going to say? Not going to listen.
Hey, well, that is definitely a vital piece of that puzzle, right?
Not going to listen. But anyways,
it's a condition.
So put that theory aside.
Okay.
And we'll say, because we're nice, unconfirmed,
put
unsubstantiated.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in it for later.
This, what I'm about to tell you.
There is some things to that, though, right? It's not the first time I've heard like Egyptian connections to the Grand Canyon, right? Like that is something I've kind of like touched on a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of the Nephilim. It's something that was fascinating from my childhood because nobody had an explanation for me when I asked about it in church, and they really made it. It was quite an uncomfortable situation for a 10-year-old kid to ask about the Nephilim and where they came from in church.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Southern Baptist community.
The pew jumpers, they come running for you.
Right? No, they didn't come for me. I just kind of got looked at like I had about 7 heads, and all of them had a mark on them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. My nanny, rest in peace, used to take me to church all the time. And I was in church one time, and this guy next to me started speaking in tongues, and I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I could not stare at him. Like, I was just staring at my grandma. She kept turning my head. I just kept going back.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, it was for me. Church. Okay, so you want to know exactly what church was like for me? Watch the first episode.
Let me take a guess.
Young Sheldon.
A lot of snake handling, because you grew up in Georgia.
No,
a lot of snake handling.
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that did happen once.
A lot of snake handling, yeah.
Well, no. Okay, well, we had first moved there, and my dad. I love my dad. He's a trip. My grandfather was just an unhinged person. Okay, first of all, so let's just take that into account. And so the apple did not fall far from the tree, and they were great men, right? They were awesome, fun, kind human beings. But a little bit nuts, and a very, very religious, right? So George used to do the thing called the street preaching thing, right?
Woo, street preaching.
Oh yeah, and he would take his son, whichever one, I guess. And I'm sure Jerry had his turn, and they would go out and do the street preaching, right? And if the doors were to open to the church, they were in it. So when we got down to Georgia and he saw a small little Pentecostal church, he thought, oh, yeah, this is just like home. No, sir. It's a little bit of a different brand down in South Georgia when you go to a Pentecostal church, depending on which one you set foot on. And you might see some snakes or some glossolalia or some all kind of different things happening. So
we're not just a normal podcast. I drop little golden gems on how to stay alive in the South. And here's a little golden gem. If you're ever invited to a church where you have to park and walk 1 mile through the woods, and it's a church, it's a school, and it's a Freemason lodge, go back to your car and leave.
Yeah.
Right?
You've made bad life choices.
You've made bad life choices.
You get up to the door, you've made bad life choices.
Get back in your car and leave. All right? Get back in your car.
Not do it.
Sure.
Stick to First Baptist, right? Then you'll be fine. First Baptist churches, yeah.
So anyways, will you stop distracting me? Such a nerd.
Sorry.
Every time we get on here, man, for the first 5 minutes, you're talking some.
Yeah, we wander off into the
AC hillbillies.
We come back. Yeah, we found the path. It's good.
Here we go.
Good.
So, anyways, I can't confirm or deny what that guy was telling me, but what I can confirm is that there was a. Now I'm going to be very careful when I say this because our channel helpers like to email me for some reason. Now emailing me my thing. They like to
Oh
email
boy.
me. In 1920, an explorer named G.E. Kincaid took a boat down the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon looking for precious metals, right? And he saw about 2,000 feet up on a canyon wall what he thought was something that resembled a mineral deposit, right? He knew it was too far to climb. He was at the bottom, so he was looking, seeing if there's a way to get up there. He came across steps, hundreds and hundreds of steps carved into the side of this canyon wall, right? He goes up to this canyon wall to the very, very end, and he comes across what he stated. Everything I'm telling you, by the way, is fact checkable on the internet. And
I think I heard some of this story, so I'm a little bit familiar with it.
he finds a cave opening, and this guy is a prospector by nature, right? So a prospector by nature, y'all, is somebody that's out in the woods, or not the woods, Jay, like they know stones. Man.
Okay, so they're a rock hound. They know their geology.
Exactly.
They know where the deposits of the minerals and
Yeah.
the metals are, what they look like, where the stone is.
Thank you.
All kinds of good stuff. They know what they're looking at.
Thank you for translating my redneck
You're welcome.
into
Hey, man,
soy
it's all
boy,
good.
so everybody
I'm
can
here.
enjoy the conversation. Comes
Here to
across
help.
this cave mouth, man, and he says he knew that's not a natural cave formation. That is a cut cave formation, right? So, a man after my own heart, he does 3 things. First, he checks and makes sure he has his notepad with him. Second thing he takes is his flashlight and his El Pistola, and we're going in. And that's right there. That's my guy. I'm not going to come across a cave that in the Grand
Right.
Canyon that looks man-made and not go in. So he goes into this cave, right? And it takes him about I guess 3 or 4 minutes to realize that this thing is massive. And not only is it massive, that it was built by design. And he's like, there was side caverns, there was storage rooms that he said that were the size of basically modern day living rooms, but there were also great meeting halls that were 30 by 40 feet, right? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like convention centers almost.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And he goes down a little bit further, walks into a room, takes a look around, and is like, I'm a little bit in over my head. What he sees when he gets in there.
Yeah, that's what he says when he gets far in there, and there's this big, huge cavern. He's like, well, maybe I should.
He goes in this one room, right? And this one room is full of mummies. And these mummies weren't just laid on the floor.
Ooh.
They were displayed on the wall in rows of 3, like shelves, like you would put trophies, right?
Like a crypt.
So he crypt, right? Yeah. And so he saw some interesting things down there or whatever. And he's like, he gathered them up. He's like, I'm gonna need some help here. I'm gonna mark a location. I'm gonna go get some help. And but one thing that he said that stood out was on the wall there was a lot of writing in hieroglyphic style. Now, this is where I'm gonna put the asterisk on this, guys. He didn't say Egyptian hieroglyphs. He said hieroglyphic style, right? So, yes, in 1920, an Egyptian-like civilization was discovered in this Grand Canyon location, right? But so I'm not going to say that it was in the, the pharaohs and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we can't for certain say that it was Egyptian hieroglyphs. It was very much hieroglyphic writing.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So boom, no emails, no cell phones. What? So it's going to take him 2 or 3 days to even get out of this joint, right? So he does.
Right.
Goes out, makes his way back down, marks the location so he knows where it's at. Gets in his canoe, and like, I've never canoed through the freaking Colorado. But I'm sure it takes more than an hour. Right? So,
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Couple days, at least, depending.
So eventually he gets out, goes back to gets where he's going, writes a letter, makes a phone call, sends it off. The Smiths to the second mistake he made right here.
He sent it to the Smithsonian, right?
To the Smithsonian, right? The
So
evil
they sent
ones.
the retrievers,
Yeah, the deep state
the librarians.
Men in Black. I'm 100. You ever seen the movie Men in Black? I'm 100% convinced their offices are under the Smithsonian buildings down in D.C. 100%. 100% right.
In the National Archive.
Yeah, probably.
I swear.
So anyways, to his surprise, the Smithsonian quickly says, yes, we're on our way up. We're there, right? We're there. And, bro, they dispatch, hey, I'm going to get this guy's name right, man. I'm going to get this guy's name right. So the Smithsonian sees his letter, says yes. They send a man named Professor S.A. Jordan and a 40-man team. 40. Right? On a letter and a few trinkets this guy sent them. They sent a high-ranking professor and 40 men. And these men were day laborers, workers, scientists, and engineers. The last one I thought was weird. Engineers. Why are you sending engineers for an archaeological discovery, right? Why would you send engineers, right? Well, I'll tell you why at the end.
Okay.
Fiduciary, man. These people are evil, man. They are evil. They're evil as like you have no get out, right? So, but actually this guy, Professor S.A. Jordan, is a good guy, quasi-good guy, right? So they go down there, right? So they meet up with, our guy, our hero, our man, G.E. Kincaid. Just like you, J.S. Noon. Just like me, incredibly good-looking Joseph, right? Same, all we're all the same, right?
Sure, I'll roll with that.
Roll with that, man. So
why not?
So he gets him there, right? And so that now it's more than just a dude in a canoe. You understand? Like we gotta this is a supply train, right? We're talking donkeys, little barges,
Yeah.
Food
Well, I mean, it's the 1920s, so there's not a lot of choices.
Yeah, and so they get back in the Colorado River, and they come down, and this is where he's like, okay, he goes through his notes, and he's like about 40 miles upriver, which I don't quite get that, man. If you were going downriver and you say upriver, but whatever. Near the El Tovar Crystal Canyon, he recognizes the sediment that he saw before. Like, okay, right there it is. That's a sediment. Here's the area I was in. Matter of fact, here's a little campsite I had to stay the night. All this other stuff, blah blah blah. Quickly find the steps, no problem, right? Quickly, and then supply train from then on out, man. They're unloading the barges. The donkeys are no good anymore. Supply trains up. I don't know what they did with those donkeys. They get up there. First thing they do is, and this is where I find it was odd. The first thing they do, Jay, is they set up a kind of a modern day forward observation military style base, man, like a fob. They set up a little fob up there, and it's like they establish a watch. There's like a rotating watch. They're armed. I get the fact of being armed. Back then is probably. I mean, I'm armed now. You know what I'm saying,
dude?
Yeah.
Let me just tell you.
Yeah.
When I went to see our mutual friend, and the debacle that happened in the northeast corner of Arizona,
your sweatshop, your sweat lodge.
There was at one point during the night, something pressed up against our tent.
Yeah. Woo.
And so, oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was awake for a second, and then I was like, nope, don't move, Jay. Just go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. And I did, and I woke up the next morning just fine, right?
It was a skinwalker.
So I didn't even think about it.
It was a skinwalker.
It was like a skunk or a badger or something. And that's what I choose to believe. Maybe even a coyote.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. It was a skinwalker.
Anyway, our mutual friend had that dirty, hairy hand cannon, and I was kind of glad that he did because because at one point I did see cougar tracks too.
Yeah.
So there was a big cat in the area, and if you know anything about big cats in the high desert, they don't give a shit. They're gonna eat you if they're that hungry.
They will end you.
Yes.
They will end you.
And yeah, there's not a lot of fighting back, and those things don't even have to be that big to mess you up.
And I hear some funny story. I like it's actually not funny, but I hear these people like, amazing, a man in California fights off a cougar with a pin. Yeah,
he wasn't that hungry.
That was an adolescent, by the way. That was a 40-pound one. His mama would have been dragging your ass up a tree.
Wouldn't even have.
That little pin ain't gonna do nothing for you, right? So, anyways.
No.
So they go in there, and this would actually have been, well, they probably killed everybody involved. So other than the murder that took place at the end, this would have been an awesome adventure to be on, because they methodically started mapping these caves, right? And they were lighting them, right? So they could see. So obviously when you go down there, man, it's like hella dark, right? And when they did, they came across I'm using his words here when I say this, they came across a civilization, right? This thing is so massive, so deep, so well cut into the sandstone that it had kitchens, had granaries, had dining halls, right? And they estimated that 50,000 people could have lived here easily. Just inside, right? 50,000 could have lived here easily, right? And I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they started to, and so as they went down, they came across an armory. The armory was near the first mummy chamber that they found, right? And next to the armory was a blacksmith. And in this blacksmithing, they deduced that they were a Bronze Age civilization, right? Yo, but here's the kick. We weren't supposed to be doing Bronze Age at this time. We were still supposed to be jumping on woolly mammoths and, kitting them with rocks.
Yeah, we were still Stone Age, like sharpening big hunks of rock into arrowheads and shit.
Hunter-gatherers, for lack of a better word, right?
Mm-hmm.
But these people had agriculture, obviously a hierarchy, obviously an organization, obviously metalworking, obviously they had a burial rites type situation, because they figured out, they went in and of course they opened up all the mummies. They were all men, and they said, okay, this must be the soldiers. That's why it was to the front. No kids, no women in here. Blase.
Mm-hmm.
And as they go down, the writing on the wall, they're saying they're near like hieroglyphics. They're very similar to hieroglyphics. They come down, and they kept noticing that all the remember we talked about the slime in the Japanese subway and how everything, like it was
the slime mold, it makes the paths, right? A network is a network.
Yeah. And so they noticed
turtles all the way down.
Yeah, exactly. They noticed that these hallways were cut, all leading to a central location, right? Like all leading to a central location. They go down there. What do they find, Jay? They finds them the Buddha. There's a Buddha down there.
There's the Tibetan-style Buddha, which makes no sense in the context of ancient Egypt.
None whatsoever, right?
None.
But to me, it even makes it weirder.
I got notes too.
Makes it weirder, right? You got notes? Got notes?
I got notes too.
Yeah, so it makes it weirder that, okay, it's not. So again, it was not Egyptian. It's Egyptian-like. But then again, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, so Egyptian-like hieroglyphics as far away from Egypt into Tibet
as possible, right?
Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah, and then Tibetan style, like almost like a crypt, right? The way it's described.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I forget there's actually a very famous temple in Tibet that, like, is so well put together with the harmonics that, like, the frequency that it's one of the things that people go there to adjust their dharma, which is a stupid word, but your dharma, right? To go there to get their dharma something, right?
Well, I mean, look, you can't deny the effect of just music.
Well,
right?
No, you can't. And I sent you that link proving all my theories right and all yours wrong. Did you watch it yet?
Which one? I didn't. Probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've watched a lot of the stuff that you sent me.
The one from, I think his name is Terrence Howard.
Terrence McKenna?
No, he was the actor. Like, Terrence Howard is his name.
Oh no, and I do really want to watch that. It got lost in the shuffle, man. I'll
tell you what,
it's greyhounds and hamster balls up in here.
I got to give that guy a salute for several reasons. One, I went and did just a little bit of looking after watching him speak for 3 hours. He is legitimately freaking. You know me when I'm about to say this, man, and you know the compliment that's coming out of my mouth.
I can't wait.
He is Tesla level smart, bro. And I don't say that lightly. And I don't say that from just watching one video. I went on there and I watched him talk, and then I did just a little bit of checking into it, right?
Sir, you had my curiosity, and now you have my interest.
Bro, he said he articulated something for me that for the last 20 years I've not been able to articulate. My vocabulary wasn't there, and now I am a lethal weapon with it. You know what it is? Here it goes, right?
Okay, so is this? Let me just before I interrupt you. Is this with Mr. Rogan?
Yeah. But that's the one that's going hot right now. Like, he has been saying this for a while. Like, there's tapes of him.
Yeah, no, I know he's been saying some stuff on there for a while, and I haven't been catching it just because I don't know, dude. There was a minute there he said something. It was I want to say a couple months ago when I was zipping through, doing the thing that I do, and I was like,
Who, Rogan said that?
huh. No. I'm talking about Terrence Howard specifically, right? Because I follow the guy. He was, he was the original roadie, right?
Yeah. He's actually the original
Man
Tony
fan.
Stark. I call him the original Tony Stark now, right? He's Tony Stark. Bro.
Okay, well, but you feel me though, right? He was the original roadie, and so I'm an Iron Man fan. He's my favorite, right? So,
So
I'll check it out. I have to watch it.
I always come at you hard saying that theoretical physicist is a joke, right? And then only 4% of their stuff has ever been proven. The other 96 is not proven. And when they can't prove something, they just make it up, right? Well, the reason why. So how does a black hole form? We don't know, but we guess it's a googly doogie. That's a googly doogly, right? They just make it up, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why they're wrong is because I've heard them say this time and time again, that outer space is a void. Tesla referred to it as the ether. He says it's the ether as well. And it finally dawned on me that the ether, it is something is there, a substance is there. Now, a void is a complete nothingness, right? So even if the ether feels like just coldness on your skin, there is something there. And the reason why all their mathematical postulations fail is because the ether is moving. So you don't calculate them.
Oh yeah.
And so but they don't do that. And again, it goes back to goes back to Einstein. It goes back to Einstein's electrical universe theory. Only 4%'s been proven, dog.
Oh, all right. There's so many problems there.
No,
man.
it's true.
I don't even know where to start.
It's true. It's true.
Here that it.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true.
First of all, it's the screwdriver problem, right? And humans.
No. I wrote that down.
Got to get over this bullshit.
Nah, I knew it was coming.
With the screwdriver problem,
No.
I got to find that thing. It's not here.
I knew it was coming.
It's a screwdriver problem. It is. You guys are all talking about the same thing.
No, they're not.
And you just don't realize it. But just hear me out.
I got
just
you.
Hear me out.
And I'm ready for I got a rebuttal.
There's not anywhere that there's nothing. Okay, there's not nothing nowhere.
Call your boys up.
Period. There just isn't. Bear with me. That's the whole kind of quantum theory thing, right?
Theory.
Is that? Yeah, right. Well, dude, come on.
Tesla's
It's a theory, though, not a hypothesis. Now, a hypothesis is something that is like, here,
Tesla's
let's
right.
think about this, right? A theory has some math to back it up, right?
Oh, here we go.
Now, no, I'm dead serious, and this is the way black holes work, right?
I'm listening.
Physicists have do a horrible, and this is my opinion.
A black hole we've never
Physicists
seen.
do a horrible job of explaining what a black hole actually is.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Because
I
they've
want you to
never
think of
found
it.
one.
Huh?
They've never found
We
one.
found one.
No, they've found
We
one.
found a bunch of them.
No, sir.
There's one right, dude. It's the same. What do you think holds our galaxy together, man?
Oh,
You're not
I know.
going to flat Earth me on that, are you?
No, come on.
It's the same. It's the same thing. It all comes down to fluid dynamics, right?
The ether.
This is where we're all agreeing and we're all talking about the same thing.
No,
but
your boys
it's just
say the void.
Oh my god. Okay, the void, the quantum foam, the fucking space-time
You
continuum.
keep your words, sir.
the
I say
wibbly
ether.
wobbly,
You say
I
the
don't care
void.
what you
Don't come
call
over
it.
on my ether.
Let's just call it the ether, because I like that word, because
Thank
it
you.
fits, because Tesla was right in the beginning when he described the ether, right? That is space-time. That is the fabric of the universe. It is not empty. Nothing is empty, right? So it's all ruled by probability. It's the probability of any one particle being in any one place at any one time. It means It seems like it pops out of in and out of existence, but that's not really what's happening. It's just a probability game, right? And we don't have the measurements capable of seeing the wibbly wobbly as close as we need to really and truly understand it, right? So, that being said, yes, there is a fabric to all of this stuff. And if you think of it like a giant ocean, right? Almost, but it's this fluid, right? And so we're all spinning around in it. It's like whirlpooling, right? Just like a fluid does. The galaxy looks like a spiral for a reason, because that big ass, heavy, huge ball of everything, right? Stuff, all kind of close together, right? Is spinning really, really fast and moving everything with it. Just like if you took a mixer from a mixing bowl and you stuck it in a bowl of water, right? And you spun it, it creates a vortex. That's what a black hole is. It's this big, huge, heavy. Imagine like a cannonball, right? Submerged in some kind of sticky fluid like syrup, or I don't know, like cane syrup. Perfect. Let's go down south. Let's take a cannonball and let's put it in some cane syrup, in a transparent bucket of cane syrup, right? Let's take a big ass magnet that we use for magnet fishing. We'll put it on the bottom, right? And we'll take a lawnmower engine, right? We'll stick it to the magnet so the magnet spins really, really 5 horsepower fast, right? And it's going to spin that cannonball like a top. And you're going to see some really, really cool stuff happen in that liquid that's surrounding it.
Okay.
And that's what a black hole is.
And I'm going to tell you why they don't exist, right? So,
okay.
but hear me on this. Hear me out. So hear me out on this, right? Before we get back to it comes into play at the center of our.
We're going to tie it all together at the end.
Yeah. So a black hole, they postulate this is their fundamental flaw that makes it wrong. Gravity is not real. Nothing is pulling us in. We are being pushed. So there's not a black hole. There's not a black hole at the center of our universe sucking us in. It's a giant star pushing us out. That's
the matter from the black hole is pushing out the ether.
The sun.
That's what I'm trying to say. We're talking about the same exact thing.
Black holes pull in, though.
No, it's not. Okay. Now listen.
Hold on. Nope, we gotta go back.
Here's where it gets weird, right? When you compress a fluid, right? Like when you're at the bottom of the ocean, what does that pressure do to you? It's kind of like crushing force, isn't it? Like the crush of gravity at the bottom of the ocean, but it's not gravity, it's the pressure of the ocean pushing down because there's so much of it. So as the universe and as the wibbly wobbly exists, and you stick a cannonball in there, everything compresses around it, and the pressure from the ether is pushing down on everything at all times.
So go watch that.
The ether and gravity are the same thing.
So go watch that. And then we'll talk about it again, and it proves that what I've always said, Einstein was a joke, a funny guy. Newton,
a joke? You just lived in 1920, man. You didn't even have a freaking computer.
And Newton was
he was really good. He didn't even bathe.
Really good at math.
But you talk about these dudes, though,
Tesla's
out of context.
And
you got to think about the context that they lived in, like anything else.
I don't give Stephen Hawking any credit. None whatsoever.
Well, see. Now, that's where I disagree with you, because I think Stephen Hawking, from what I understand, was pretty spot on as far as like what he thought about black holes and what we've been able to measure. Like, and I mean measure, dude. Like taking a ruler to a piece of paper measure, not theory. We're talking about actual completely and utterly reproducible measurement. And that's a completely different thing than theory.
He's wrong.
Right.
I'm glad you see it my way.
Okay. But that's like I will put you in the flat earther category.
No, I'm not. Come on, no.
For saying some shit like
I
that.
don't go that far.
I mean, okay, so you can either accept that there's measurement,
Oh, there's
Okay,
definitely
so
measurement.
There's not measurement.
He
So
thought-
when you're saying that they were able to measure things,
No, he thought he was measuring a black hole. It's not a black hole. Go watch
What
his
is he
thing.
measuring?
Go watch
I'll
his
watch
thing.
it. Okay, let's get back to the freaking
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
the
So,
ancient Egyptians in the
again,
Grand
man,
Canyon.
you sidetrack everything, man. You sidetrack.
Of course, it's my fault. I'm the sidetrack guy. It's what
So-
I'm doing.
So, anyways,
I'm supposed to distract you from things,
Exactly.
right? That's my role.
hey, man, you might be a CIA, government, Freemason,
I'm
Smithsonian plant trying
I'm
to
the plant.
keep the
I'm the
truth
plant,
out.
of course.
You keep reporting me
Uncle
on
Jay,
TikTok. That's why I
right.
get shadow banned. Anyways,
Can never trust Uncle Jay.
you never trust Uncle Jay, y'all. Never trust. So, anyways, after they. We're stupid. Sorry about that, y'all. We're stupid tonight. Anyways, we're having a good time. So look, after they did their research in there, man, they came. Yeah,
I'm gonna get a sticker that says Candyman and put it on my car.
exactly right. So they could not agree on a lot of things, man. A lot of scientists were in there. A lot of them they couldn't agree on a lot of stuff. But there's two things that they actually came out of a very firm foundation that they both agreed on. One, they agreed that the civilization was way too advanced to be
The
here
area.
at this period at that time. Two, they agreed that this civilization did not develop in this region organically. It came here, and they don't know how it got here, right? So it didn't just spring up or slowly evolve. It showed up.
It was
Right.
like a migration event.
Like a migration, right? So they're sending their reports back to, Smithsonian or whatever. Satan's
Back to
little,
the Illuminati.
yeah, exactly, the armchair, right?
Mhm.
Out of the blue, funding is pulled. Come back home. Military men show up on site. They start pouring concrete into the ventilation shafts of these caves, right? That you can still see today. But matter of fact, it specifically was the Army Corps of
Army
Engineers
Corps of Engineers.
showed up, started plugging holes, right? Okay. You've never heard that happening before. Oh, they say it's for safety, to keep people from falling into this cave that no one could ever find or knew it was there in the Grand Canyon. Oh, and to be safe, it's now off limits, federal trespassing charges, which I thought was weird because last time I checked, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt around 1911 turned it into a national park, and I don't know of any national parks where there's sections that are federally against the law to walk on, but there is in the Grand Canyon. If you go in there to this, right? Everything was supposedly removed from it, sent back to the Smithsonian, and of course, shocker, they don't know where it's at. Paper got filed away, something like that wrong. And G.E. Kincaid and Professor S.A. Jordan both disappeared. They both deaded. They deaded them both, right? So,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's what I have the information, like I have notes. It says April 5th, 1909, right? So what's interesting to me is this story appeared in 1909, and then you say Roosevelt with the parks in 1911, right?
So no, I think it was 1909. He filed. I can't exactly remember his presidency. In 1909, he filed for the Grand Canyon to become a national park, off limits for mining and all this other stuff. It took 11 years for it to get done. G.E. Kincaid wanted to go check it out before it became a federal park because he was looking for gold. He wasn't down there looking for something for the Smithsonian. He was trying to get rich.
Right.
So he wanted to get in before it became off limits to do mining project there. So those are the dates.
Right.
To come with. And so, fam, here's another one. Here's another Ancient Enigma Files tip for life. When you're in an area and you're being told a bunch of lies and you're being fed information, seek out the Native American lore. It will tell you the truth, right? And boy, I'm about to tell you something, Jay, and all of our millions of listeners watching at home. This sounds familiar. in that area is several different types of Native Americans, right? You have the Apache. I think there was a couple other ones there, Pueblo, but the main one for this area was the Hopi. The Hopi tribes were down there, right? So they were within miles of this location. The Hopi have a story, and this story says that in their creation mythos, they say that the first human, or the first life, the first people of this world entered the world from that cave. They emerged as reptilians and then changed into humans, right? And that leads a lot of people into the whole reptilian, hollow earth theory or whatever. They said that they were warned of a cataclysm, for lack of a better word, that was about to happen from a sky god who came out of a silver star, told them to go into these caves, and in the caves were living what they call the ant people. The ant people had gray skin and big black eyes, right? And they lived the Hopi people went into that cave, lived in that cave until after the flood had ended. And by the way, scientists are now finally having to eat crow that the earth did not thaw out after the flood in the Younger Dryas in 100 years. It did it in 2 days. 2 days is what happened, right? And then after the flood, they say that these giants came down from the sky and taught the Hopi Indians and the people how to, read and write.
New stuff.
Right? New stuff, right? And man, oh man, is that not the last chapter in the Sumerian text? The Anunnaki Sumerian text.
The Book of Giants.
Book of Giants, Jay.
Bhagavad
Book
Gita.
Book of Enoch.
Yeah, I mean.
All used to be in the Bible.
That seems like a familiar story,
Seems like a familiar story, right?
Yeah, that's what fascinates me about all this stuff, right? Is now we have the technology to be able to communicate all this stuff to each other, right? Like, this is the first time in history we've been able to communicate it, like, in the nature that we've been able to, where we could just kind of throw it out there and be like, hey, tell me about the first people and the ant people. And then all of a sudden you've got, right? It's neat.
Yeah.
Right? It's first time.
And
so now we're going to be able to make all these connections that we weren't able to make before.
If I told you if I told you it gets weirder, would you believe me?
Absolutely, because I'm reading it right now, and it's pretty weird.
It gets weirder. So, the Smithsonian not only concreted some stuff over, confiscated everything, denied everything. You can call the Smithsonian and ask them about this, and they'll tell you it's fake news. You can call them. I'm halfway tempted to put the number in the thing. You can call these people, and they will say, "Oh yeah, there was never a man named G.E. Kincaid. There's never was a professor named S.A. Jordan who worked here, right? Even though if you go back to the 1910, 1911, I forget the dates, they're in the news. The articles are there, right? So, local news. And then the Smithsonian went around in all the areas, Jay, and they started putting metal gates on over these cave. They found 100 cave entrances, which I think is fascinating. They put these metal gates, and these ain't little bitty rebar gates. These are the keep the giants out gate. Like we're talking.
Or in.
I didn't even think about it like that, right? We're talking Jon Snow and the Wall Boys up there, right? Locking them down.
Yeah, right? Maybe.
These are big, heavy gates, and their excuse was.
Are they wrought iron?
Yeah, they're big black wrought iron solid gates, and they bedded in the stone.
What is wrought iron good and proof against? Oh yeah. Here's where you go in and maybe do a little alchemy research.
Yeah.
Because see, depending on what metals things are made out of, that could have some significance. I love some symbology, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, because think about it, right? So. I pulled up the information on the ant people and the Hopi legends, right?
Run it down.
And it's really interesting. Yeah, so like the ant people welcomed the first people into their subterranean realm, offering them shelter, sustenance, and guidance. They taught the Hopi the ways of agriculture, weaving, and pottery, imparting the skills and knowledge that would help them survive the world above.
That's crazy.
And they came out of the underground. The underground, let me find that spot.
The cave system.
The tale begins in the distant past, long before the first people ascended to the present world.
Yeah.
In those days, the Hopi ancestors lived in a series of underground chambers, each filled with danger and challenges. So they made their way out of what they're calling the first world.
I gotta
the other world.
And hear me out on this. Hear me out on this, right? What if I'm going Alice?
Oh, dude, I got a singer for you when you're finished.
Alice, take the blue pill, right? So look,
right.
What if all Native Americans were originally inner Earth inhabitants, and when they say they went to the next realm, they actually came out of the inner Earth onto the current Earth, and they were considered to be the first people?
Or portals. Because we did see
portals,
Enoch go to different places.
That's a good one.
And so how do you get from where this all started to where we're at right now?
Yeah, portals.
And come out of a hole in the ground that seems to have been cut out of this big chamber of rock, right? So what happens when you use a teleportation mechanism? And let's just spitball it here and let's sci-fi it out, right? They zap the cave. They literally whomp and just remove the matter, right? And then they put the people in there, and everybody comes out. It's nice and safe from the flood. And Bob's your uncle. You have Hopi.
Good job, Tim Fuller. You know what? You get a gold star for that, man. You know what?
Hey, man, I've had this theory for a long time, dude. We're a giant petri dish, bro.
If you would ever just stop thinking about the stupidity of theoretical physicists and get on board with me, man, you'd get 2 gold stars.
I'm a storyteller, man. I can't help but make stuff cohesive, and it's gotta make sense somehow, right?
That's a good point, man. Yeah,
these weird little fragments, right? When you put them all together, and that's what I'm really working on, is grabbing all these stories, and I'm trying to find correlations and common threads, because I think that's the truth, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so they covered up all the metal gates on the caves. They turned some of the areas into a no-fly zone, which I'm just like, okay, sure, that's normal. I've been in several national forests, and
giants can throw rocks really hard.
I guess, man, right? So of course, some of these other guys are like, you know what, I'm going to go find this cave. They go in there and they look around. I'm not going to throw their names out there, but they go out there and they look around, and weird stuff starts happening to them, like Apache gunships show up flying around and make them leave. An Apache gunship, dog. If you don't, that is a serious thing. That is death. That is death on a stick right there, right?
That is what we in the business call a pants shitter.
Yeah, exactly right, man. If you're ever in a ground fight and the other team shows up with an Apache gunship, pray.
Stop.
Because you're not going to live. Just get right with Jesus, because you're about to meet him, right?
Walk away.
Walk away, yeah. Yeah, and I was shocked at that, right? And then a couple other things too. But bro.
Not good.
And again, man, here's the thing too. Another thing what you're talking about with the information sharing. Nobody believes this anymore. It doesn't make any freaking sense, right? You could tell my
great. A lot harder to fool.
You could tell my great grandfather that. Oh, they're protecting the bats. Really? They're protecting the bats?
Well,
really?
Here's the thing. My grandfather, my dad. Yeah. I come from a long line of servicemen, right?
Yeah.
There was 8 kids, 6 of them in the military.
Yeah.
Right. All the boys were in the military. I mean, we were poor. They were super poor. They didn't have a choice.
You're leaving at
so
17.
They went and served the country, fought in World War II, Korea, the Lieutenant Dan thing. That's my family, right?
Yeah.
They believed in the cause though, because they were fighting a good fight, right? World War II was a good fight. They were trying to help people, right? And that's really what a soldier is supposed to do. Is supposed to be there to defend those who cannot defend themselves,
Yeah,
right?
for
And
sure.
it shouldn't be flipped on its head.
Yeah. And then
Right.
so it just led me into the whole thing now, like protecting the bats. Like our government cares about bats. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, a lot of things have been
I
going
like
on.
bats.
Huh?
Bats are good. I like bats.
Oh yeah, bats didn't bats keep me in the house for 2 years?
No,
Supposed to.
yeah. It wasn't. Don't blame it on the freaking bats, man. It was not their fault. That was some other kind of
If for anybody watching
night-
this show, if you ever heard the term what
night creeping creature.
a wet market is not where they sell mammals. It's actually seafood. It's basically a seafood market.
It's basically
And,
it's
and some,
it's everything,
and a monkey.
dude.
It's
It's
a monkey.
everything.
It's
Come
a
on, let's
monkey
be
meat.
honest. You and I both walked by the same butcher shop window with the big, huge barbecued rats.
I didn't like those puppies. I didn't like those puppies anyway.
Feel me though, right? Look, dude. Here's the thing, and this
Meat
is an
dogs.
established fact, and you can go research it at your leisure. There was a practice at one point of selling lab animals to the wet market
Yeah, I can't
because
even grasp
you wouldn't put a law in place against something that had never happened.
that. Don't eat lab rats, guys, or lab bats or lab.
You feel
whatever.
me though?
Yeah, for
Right?
good. So, check this out. I got some theories now. Are you ready?
hmm
Have you ever heard about the same type of hieroglyphs being found in Australia?
I have not.
So, in Australia, we've been to Australia, and we know how massive it really is. We have friends in Australia. The Aboriginals, they have a theory that life came to this earth by this giant spearhead rock that slammed into Australia, right? And if you look at it, it's actually a big red rock out there in the middle of nowhere.
Ayers Rock.
Yeah, but they have similar rocks like that around the where as well. On some of those
Okay.
rocks, they have hieroglyphs on those rocks. Like there is a rumor that an Egyptian fleet or like a boat somehow got down to as far as Australia. And I don't think maybe it wasn't Egyptians, maybe it might have been these guys. Also, too, guys, don't buy in the hype that Christopher Columbus found America. The Vikings were here first. The Chinese, I think, probably got over here first too, and there were people already here.
There's some good evidence that was the case, that they made it as far as like Chile or something.
Yeah, exactly. But there were people already here.
Dude, come on, man. You and I have said this before.
Yeah.
Hold My Beer's been around for a really long time,
You know,
right?
you know what I'd like to see though. You know what would be funny if 10 years before Christopher Columbus found the Bahamas and said it was Florida, if like the Cherokee showed up in England and said, "Look, we just found England."
Yeah, do it in reverse.
Pull the
Dude,
Uno
that's a
reverse
great
card,
book.
man. Boom, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
There's a really, really good book I read when I was really young, and it's probably out of print and hard to find right now. But it was one of these alternate histories about like, what if the Black Plague had wiped out Europe a little bit harder and Christopher Columbus had never come over here, right? And it was like I think it was the name of the book was like the Crystal Empire or something like that, and it was just played out the whole Mayan, Aztec, Native American civilization thing spreading across what we thought of North America, and then them meeting up with the Viking civilization, right? It was a really neat kind of like alternate path.
You want to hear? You want to hear a controversial theory that I have?
Sure.
That's gonna
Always.
It's gonna.
I love controversial theories.
It's probably gonna butt hurt some people.
Those are my favorite kind.
That the Aztecs, the Japanese for sure, the Chinese as well. We were all more we. I said it like I'm them. I descended. My great grandfather's name is Uleg the Conqueror, right? So like
Right. Yeah.
they were all more advanced than us in every single way possible. I don't know how Europeans. When I say Europeans, I'm gonna say England, basically UK,
Yeah. Europeans.
France, Germany, Spain. These were disgusting people. They were so dirty. They were
Nice.
they were so dirty. These people believed that if taking a bath would give you the flux. I don't know if you know what the flux is, right? Basically, you're pooping blood, right? They thought baths gave you that, right? Yeah,
it depends on where you took a bath back then, though, man.
Well, maybe, right?
Right.
If that, it wasn't. The Spanish
Yeah, it wasn't good.
The Spanish conquistadors are notorious cowards. I'll tell you that too, right?
Yeah, they were bad. They were not good people.
They were good fighters. It was chicken
They were all
pox.
after gold, man. It was a bunch of greedy. It was a bunch of greedy outcasts.
Yeah, it was
that couldn't get money over there, so they had to get on a boat and go find it.
Chicken pox conquered the Americas. I'll tell you that right now, 100%. It was smallpox, some type of pox or whatever.
The pox,
and
the bad one.
So the Japanese had it right. Y'all can't come here for a long time until you learn to take a bath. Very few of you guys are getting on here, right? And they didn't let them show up in force like that. And that was the Portuguese too. They were dirty people as well, right? They were dirty people as well, right?
Jesus,
yeah, so
man.
dirty, man. Yeah, so dirty. Man. I can only imagine the stink.
Everybody off, right?
Yeah,
all of Europe and maybe parts of Asia and South America too. We going that far?
Chinese, Japanese,
the Japanese.
They were
so we're gonna just hit Asia real hard.
They were very clean. They were all super clean.
Yeah, they were really good. Yeah, there was some definite hygiene.
The Aztecs
there for sure.
All the Native Americans, they were all super clean.
But see, the Aztecs also used to play soccer with human heads too.
I know, come on, man.
You know, I mean, there's a little.
Yeah, but that was at the end. Who doesn't want to kick a head
That's
around?
what happens, right? The debauchery is what happens at the end. I mean, like Rome. And
well, I mean, like
all of the
Japanese, they had a head thing too. I don't know if you knew that or not. They had a head.
Yeah, everybody's got. Dude, there's such atrocity everywhere that it's not even worth talking.
So when
everybody's had their share.
When I hear people say you colonizers, I'm thinking they didn't colonize nothing. They just came over here.
Which ones?
They just sneezed.
Which ones?
Yeah.
Which ones?
They
From
sneezed,
when?
right?
How long ago? We're all colonizers, dude. Everybody started somewhere. So and then they went somewhere else.
So that's the thing that I have on this when it comes to these. How that I think that Napoleon said that history is the lie we all agree upon. I think that's like a verbatim quote that he said, right?
Or it is written by the victors.
Exactly. And when these people showed up, we want to think that, okay, in 1920, we want to think that we're it. We're the top of the food chain. We can't ever look back and say that there was something possibly here that was doing things better than us or that was greater than us. There's a hubris involved.
Oh, yeah, no, there was definitely some white people hubris there.
Yeah, there's some hubris involved in that, right? Like, no, this can't be because it says in Genesis 12 that this doesn't happen.
Yeah, right? they definitely thought of themselves as the only civilized things in the thing. But, also context, man, here's the thing. Like, these are people who weren't 100% sure how one died of dysentery, right? Yeah. Or that, microbes were a thing. It's hard, right? Like put it in the context. These people were pretty ignorant.
Yeah.
They didn't have any of the kind of base knowledge that you and I have. And so you get these weird decisions. See, what happens is you look back and you see these people making these weird decisions. You're like, what in the heck were they thinking?
Yeah.
They weren't, because they didn't know the things that we know. Not even remotely close, dude.
Yeah, not even close, man. And so, yeah, right? Man, that takes me down another.
Think about how long it would take to talk to your neighbor. Let's just do this thought exercise. You live in a place and I live in a place. Those places are fairly far apart, but not ridiculously far apart. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to come visit you, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? Now take it back to 1750.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a horse and I've got a horse.
Yeah.
I've got a farm. You've got a farm. We've got a family. We're never going to meet. We're never going to be able to talk to each other except maybe, if we're lucky, some traveling salesman comes with a kettle and a pot and you say, hey, if you make your way down Virginia way and you happen to end up here,
take this with you.
note to take it over to the McKinney farm, right, or whatever, right?
And it comes in.
That's how that shit works, right?
And like freaking, like all visits back then were sleepovers, right? Yeah, they're all sleepovers.
For sure. You weren't going home.
You're not going home, right? All visits.
You're not going home.
So yeah.
That's why they'd let them sleep in the same bed, but then they'd put a board between them, right?
It's funny.
Right? That didn't stop much, but it was at least an appearance of propriety.
So then it takes me to two things. I know why they confiscated all those mummies, man. Because those mummies were probably lizard people mummies. 100%.
Lizard people?
Not humans. Not humans.
Saurian people, like...
Oh, not us's. They were the not us variety, right?
Not us variety.
And I guarantee you that this civilization that they came across originally, it has to be some type of Anunnaki or Watchers level event. Has to be something like that, right? Has to be, man.
That's the thing, right? Like,
too many coincidences.
They see the ant people as their ancient benefactors, right? They're powerful spirit guides watching over them from the hidden places of the earth. Mm-hmm. Watching over them from the hidden places of the earth.
Watching over them. Exactly.
I'm telling you, man, I've got a project, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to draw a line right down the center of all of this stuff. It's going to be, I want to make it so here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take all these stories, right, and find the common threads and just have a place for people to look at it, right? And just put the information up and have them make their own decisions.
Yeah. And so when I pull up, and one more string that I tugged on this, right, is that this is not I've been to every Smithsonian museum in DC several times, right? Several times. I've been to every single one of them, right? The Smithsonian has a rep of doing this, showing up and taking things away. And there's several news articles. I did a video about some giant skeletons that were found in Wisconsin next to a lake. They showed up, they confiscated it, they hushed the story up. This is not the first time I've heard of them swooping in to take these things away. And it all goes back. So I was having a conversation the other night. The fundamental question in life for all human beings is the why. Why? Anytime somebody does something, it's a why. It's the most basic thing. Why? Yeah, your kid draws on the wall with the crayon. Why? Why'd you do that? Or
Right. What were you thinking? What was going through your head?
Why? The why. So when I see this type of like the whole Men in Black, why? Why are you showing up? Why are they letting Air Force guys dress in plain clothes and show up and scare housewives in trailer parks? Or why? Right. So when I see the Smithsonian swooping in, taking all this stuff up, it's the why. Because if I wanted you to come to my museum, right, throw up one lizard man mummy, and the whole damn planet is coming to your museum. Tell me I'm wrong, bro.
No, you're not wrong. Because look at what the Mexican government did a couple months ago when they had the press conference.
I think that was Peru. I think they were in Peru.
Peru. I'm sorry, not Mexican, but the South. It was in South America, right?
Racist.
I believe.
Yeah, it was in South America.
Yeah, I know. I'm horrible with that. My geography is shitty.
It was Peru.
I thought it was Mexico, man. I could have sworn it was Mexico. No, but anyway, it doesn't matter. They had the big press conference, and the guy brought up the mummies, be they real or not real or whatever. I don't know enough about it to say, right? It was done though. They made it out in the open. Yeah. You gotta applaud the effort, right? But it's coming out. Like, it's gonna have to, because we just have access to too much information.
I've been in that dang dinosaur museum 20 times, and there ain't no new dinosaurs in there. And I still keep going to check the dinosaurs out, right? Same thing when I go to the museum.
That's what's right, and that's what's fascinating about it, right? We have 13, maybe 13 complete Tyrannosaurus skeletons, and there were how many supposedly? Everywhere. Yeah, we've only found a couple.
So if they found all this cool stuff, and you're a museum, and the part of the museum is to put things on display, then why are you not putting that on display, right? And so that's the question. I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why, and it ties into why I got daggone shadow banned over there on the communist-controlled TikTok party of China.
Mm-hmm.
The Vatican came out last week around Thursday and held a press conference about how to deal with extraterrestrial beings and even Jesus Christ himself, right? They wrote guidelines. These people want to control your life so hard. They wrote a manual on how to talk to Jesus. You got to be kidding me, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On the popes. I hope our channel helpers go fact check this. On the Pope's clothes, he's wearing green, and on the green, he's wearing a figure from the Nazca lines. It looks like a dang alien on his frock, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they suppressed this is because the Bible is right here next to me, and here's the other books of the Bible that's right here next to me. What they find there does not fit here. Two things can be true at the same time, y'all. You understand? Two things can be true at the same time. But they want you to think that you've been told everything there is to be told. You've been learned it. You've been learned it, everything you need to learn. There is nothing more to this. The Book of Enoch is heretical. I don't even know where that comes from. You're thinking that, right? It's heretical. Or,
yeah, heretical.
Hear me out on this. Or God created life everywhere, and some of God's other creatures came down here and didn't play well with us, and then Jesus came and the flood came and sorted everything out. Then they weren't supposed to do that. Again, our bodies are built for here. Their bodies are not built for here. So that's why they cannot stand. You can't. If something is so fragile that a question breaks it, then it's not real. You understand? It's not real. If you can't say the following about, like, I'm a Christian, pray all the time, I love Jesus, and you can ask me questions, and I'll be like, man, that's a good question. I don't know, man, that's a good question. And you know what my response is? When you die, ask God. He'll be right. Ask him. He'll be there. Ask him. Hey, what was up with that, right? So
there are some things we're just not ever going to know the answer to, right? Until we get there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily as religious, but I definitely.
You're a heathen. You're a heathen.
I'm not necessarily heathen either, though. I
bolt of lightning
I just
inbound.
have the different view of it, right? I think it was a
Kryptonite
creation kind of thing, right? I just want to know what the real story is. I want to know what kind of like. I definitely feel there is some kind of shenanigans that happened in our past. There's just too much correlated evidence that says,
you know what, bro?
All these legends say similar things, and it's just like
all the research you and me have done over the last several months for these podcast episodes, and you'll never convince me that something didn't happen. Right? Like we might debate what that something was, but like, something went down, right? Like some stuff went down, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not willing, they think, you know what it is, man? They have such a low opinion of us that they think we're made of glass, that we're so easily broken that if they're going to say like, hey, you know what, guys, aliens, they did come down here and mess with us all those years ago. Anarchy in the streets. It won't be that.
That might have been true though. Like earlier in our kind of.
Really?
See, that's the thing. And okay, so let's get into it then.
But hold up, but think that.
You know how you've been saying for weeks that there's something coming and there's something coming, and you can feel like there's a change in the air, and I agree with you wholeheartedly.
For sure.
Like it hit you before it hit me.
For sure.
And then it hit me, and I'm like, okay, I understand now.
Gotcha.
Right? There is an absolute change coming. There's a lot of things going on in the background that when you kind of all add it all up, you're like, oh, okay, right? I truly believe that we're getting close to a time when there's going to be some turmoil for real, because we are going through a transition, dude, and it's like adolescence, right? So think of it like this: when we were, and I'm even going to draw a line. I'm going to draw a line at like 2012 because there's some interesting correlations there, right? December 21st, 2012 was the end of the long count calendar, right? Pretty cool. Didn't mean anything, but it does, right?
That's because the elites give us the wrong calendar to keep us in the dark, but go ahead.
I think that there's a cyclical nature to things, right? It's kind of undeniable that there is a cyclical nature to a lot of things, like, Earth going around the sun, so on and so forth. But there also, I think, is like a cyclical nature to human culture, right? We rise and then we fall. We rise and we fall. Like, but we're doing this overall, right? And we have some setbacks, but we're going up and then down, and the pendulum swings,
we
right?
We don't flatline back to the caveman.
But I think that the pendulum is slowing down, and I think it's swinging back and forth really fast now, right? And I think we're about to come to this point pretty soon.
Good guys are
and I think so. I really do. I'm gonna do my best to make sure that happens, right?
For sure.
As we should all, right? But see, here's where I think I'm gonna bring the receipts, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Here's why I think that this is happening. Pre-2012 and leading up to there, and if you take the 6,000 year span, right, and you look at the last long count, a lot happened. We went from hunter-gatherers, essentially, right, and we rose to a spacefaring civilization. Kinda.
Ish.
We got there. We got there.
Moon landing was fake.
We're not doing great staying there, but we got there.
Moon landing was
right.
Fake.
Best Stanley Kubrick movie ever. What?
Russian.
So we've come a long way, baby, right? But see, that's the thing. We're not babies anymore. Mm-hmm. And for that period of time, we were, because we weren't communicating. We weren't even able to communicate effectively with each other, right? Let alone anything outside of us. But now we've gotten the tools and the technology and starting to get the will to communicate with each other without gatekeepers, right? And that's the important part, because that's where the propaganda filter comes in. In 1953, you could not call China and talk to Yan, who was sitting in his kitchen making rice. You couldn't. Today you can. You can watch Chan make rice in China on TikTok, comment on it, and give him a thumbs up.
No, we don't like
it's
TikTok.
It's a different place.
TikTok. We don't like TikTok.
You feel me?
Yeah, we don't like TikTok.
You feel me though, right?
I feel you.
Okay, Reels, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's a screwdriver. Got me? It's a tool. It's a communications device, and it's a communications tool, and it's showing us that we're all just humans.
And I actually think it goes.
And that's a good thing.
I think I go a slightly different direction with that too. These boys stormed Normandy, man. These were hard men, and I think that the powers that be were worried that if they let them know they'd been told a lie, they were going to show up with pickup trucks and rifles for reals and take them down. And
that might still happen, dude. Right? Like, think about it for a minute. No, I mean, it's a big betrayal. It's a patronization, and it's a huge one. And our government's doing that a lot lately, and I think people are all kind of pissed off. They've treated us like children for years, like this protective, authoritarian, you don't know what's best for you, but we do kind of attitude, right? This, and it's because they're all old people.
Very Canadian. Very Canadian, right? You ever been to Canada?
Yeah. No, I don't
I've heard it's beautiful. I've always thought
my cousin lives there though.
I've always thought that Canada was the chill spot, but like, yeah, I mean, but I
it's nice. It's pretty.
What
people are friendly.
Well, yeah, the people are, but
but see, that's what it is, though, man. The government is always the problem.
Yeah. So the thing too is that what I think is happening right now is you're seeing the death of an animal dying of an old age.
It's the end of the age of innocence.
And
our innocence is leaving, and mommy and daddy aren't right anymore.
I think that
all the time.
I think that the transition will be 100% peaceful. And I'll tell you what.
I hope so. Yeah. I sure hope so.
I don't think there'll be any conflict.
But I don't think so.
No, I do.
I plan for the worst and hope for the best, sir.
I do. People, I disagree. Before we wrap up, man, I disagree with these people, man, who say that if the power grid goes down, 90,000 people.
It'll be anarchy.
Yeah, it won't be anarchy.
I don't believe so. And case in point, the New York blackouts. Do you remember the New York blackouts when the power and this was shoot, I can't remember if it was pre or post 9/11.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. The lights went out in New York. Like the whole Manhattan grid and then probably some surrounding areas just went full dark, and it was down for hours, and there was no riots.
Yeah.
There was no break-ins.
Yeah.
There was no looting. There was none of that crap. It was just people trying to get home and chill. A lot of barges, a lot of water taxis,
And
a
so,
lot of very cool New Yorkers being nice to each other.
and that's the thing. Disaster doesn't make people get angry. It makes people get friendly.
And together.
It gets friendly.
Absolutely.
For example, like this,
Absolutely.
and people came back and say, "Oh, you say that now," until they start eating people, and I'm like, bro, if
Doesn't
you
happen.
live,
Typically.
if you live in a major city, right, and you say to yourself, "You know what? We're running out of food. Round them up. We're going to go into that little podunk small town over there and take what you want." If you show up and ask for food, they will give you food, and they will show you how to grow your food. Show up with guns, and those hillbillies will bury you right next to where they grow their food. You're not winning that fight, bro.
No, you're really not.
So when I see
And
that,
they'll make sure of it too, because even if there's none of them left, they'll make sure that you didn't win.
and it won't even be that way. These people have all grown up together. Their granddaddies fought in the
Bunch
war
of
together.
hold my beer knuckleheads
It
with
is, man.
guns. Come on, man.
Their
Let's be real.
half the people in the jail are guarded by their cousins who work at the jail.
The thing is,
It's not going to happen like that, man. It's not, right?
no, it's not going to go down. I think what people need to realize is it's not about black and white or Chinese or whatever, right? It's about the people who are trying to control you versus the people who are trying to let you self-determine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a big cornerstone of mine, this whole idea of self-determination, right? The ability to choose who and how and what you do, as long as it doesn't mess with anybody else.
Yeah. And like I said, man, I don't.
And I think that we all need a nice big helping of that.
Yeah.
Because it's been taken away from us, dude.
So yeah.
And that's where the problem lies.
And so here you go. There you go. There's another nail in the coffin of the secret New World Order conglomeration.
We don't need any more secret societies anymore. We don't need any of that stuff. It's not necessary like it was before.
So
we're not barbarians anymore. We're mature people. We can all handle it. We're big kids.
Although
time to put the big kid pants on.
Although if you've never gone to the Smithsonian and seen the dinosaur museum, it's actually pretty cool.
It is pretty kick-ass. Air and Space Museum is my favorite, but
it's expensive though, but it's pretty cool. The food court is, anyways. It's
free
to get in the museums.
It's worth it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, you you look at your history, right? Like it's your birthright. This is where you came from.
Go look at the history they want to show you. If you want to know your real history,
and then go talk to the old folks, right? Who actually lived it.
Go look at the history that they want to show you. But if you want to know your real history, subscribe. Come back to this channel. If you stuck around this long, losers, you're our type of losers, right? And we're happy to have you. And Jay, you got anything else before we close it out?
No, just remember that the rising tide lifts all boats.
The rising tides lift all boats. And in the event of apocalypse, what you need to learn how to do first is catch worms. Because
go find an island.
Worms will let you catch fish. There you go. Well,
subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.